So today, we briefly just want to touch on the Holocaust or the final solutions, but more so, we are going to look at the historiography, sort of what different camps of historians sort of think or believe about the Holocaust. So, just be really quick and to the point, but pay attention. All right, a little bit of background for you. All right, so as Allied armies they were moving into Germany, many just started to discover the extermination camps that were set up. All right, and for example, in 1944, Soviet forces they invaded Warsaw, which is in Poland, people, and they came to an extermination camp at Majdanek. All right, and there they witnessed actually hundreds of unburied corpses and 7 gas chambers. So that's when the realities were sort of exposed. All right. Uh, Now, of course, the camp at Majdanek was only one of 20 camps right, that was set up by the Germans to quote unquote carry out the final solution, or as they would call it, the Jewish problem. And then between December 1941, when the first Jews were killed at Chelmo, it was estimated that more than 5.7 million Jews were murdered. All right. Now, they didn't just target Jews, all right. All the other ills of society, so to speak, were murdered and were, quote unquote, as they would call it, gypsies, socialists, communists, homosexuals, and the mentally handicapped. All right. Now, one school of thought would come from the intentionalists. All right, and these are the historians who believe that the responsibility of the Holocaust rests with Hitler. All right, that it was a top-down approach. It was his idea, and he enacted this plan to get rid of the Jews. All right, and they sort of a lot of historians reference the fact that Hitler had always been anti-Semitic. All right, and they reference where he sort of put his beliefs down. Of course, we all heard about his book Mein Kampf, where he blamed the Jews for Germany's defeat in the First World War, in the First World War, excuse me, and for all of the problems ever since. All right, and so his plan was to get rid of them, and the final solution was just a matter of time and opportunity, when and how to sort of exterminate these Jews. First, we know they moved them to concentration camps, from there into these extermination camps. All right. Now, many critics of this view are the intentionalists. They often ask the question, why did it take Hitler so long, over 9 years, all right, before he began to murder Jews? Remember, they date back to 1941, all right? So, why did it take so long from when he came to power, which was around 33, 32, excuse me, that 9 years, all right? And he was okay with anti-Jewish legislation, all right, um, if he was determined to sort of exterminate them. One of the things that he helped was Kristallnacht, all right, which was an attack of Jewish property and synagogues throughout Germany in 1938. And so Hitler ordered restraint and a return to nonviolence. So he sort of put down this sort of attack on Jews in 1938. So many critics are asking the question, why in the world would he do that if his whole plan was to kill him eventually? And so, well, I mean, when we look at that, I mean, there are so many varying opinions here. A lot of historians often say that, it was just a matter of time. He had to do it when the time was right. And, he sort of had the upper hand or the advantage. And when he first came to power, it wasn't necessarily the forefront, the very first thing that, he sort of was thinking. But then you have the functionalists who sort of believe that it wasn't necessarily a top-down approach, as it was Hitler acting on the beliefs and the ideas of others within the Nazi Party. All right, and so basically, it was the sheer pressure of numbers, as the functionalists would sort of argue. And this is sort of like a minority interpretation. And there were more than 3 million Jews who lived in Germany. All right. Many knew that Hitler's views were well known around Nazi circles, and he basically was responding to these Nazi leaders. And I mean, and when you look at this from this perspective, that's sort of just a couple of camps of in this whole final solution or the Holocaust. All right. One thing that I want for you to do is to bring, any research that you have, and then we'll go from there. All right, there's one more. We're going to talk about victory for Japan and sort of ending this war, and that's going to be that. That's the very last lecture after this.